What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? We are back. UFC Qatar. Dan Hooker versus Armen Tsarukyan. I'm your host, Picked by Pegasus. I'm here with Dravey and our special guest, LiamPicksFights. Welcome back, Liam. What's happening, my brother?
What's up, fellas? I'm doing well. I'm excited to see how this card treats us. Last week, Aaron Blanchfield gave me the win, but just by a little bit, and I'm anxious for more. So, Lord willing, we can close out the year strong, and we get another set of opportunities this weekend. A lot of newcomers. Should be some interesting fights. So, I'm fired up about it. I do think there's some interesting, guys coming to the UFC as well. So, let's find out.
Yeah, wait for Aaron to dig deep too on that win and get that sub. That was awesome. Prate showed up, co-main event, main event, pretty lame for the most part. I mean, it was cool to see, dominance on both sides. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the main card, like the first 2 or 3 fights were awesome. Like BSD getting that knockout, Prate getting that knockout, Morales getting that knockout. We're like, oh god damn it, But then the 2 other fights were domination, but it was boring to watch if we're being honest.
I can't believe how big Morales ended up being, dude. He is huge.
Yeah, he's crazy big. He's crazy big. But yeah, I was it was pretty cool because I call up Prates to knock out Leon, and I had the round 2 as well. So I was pretty happy about it. And I mean, this dude hit different. He really hit different.
Yeah.
And, I mean, how good is Ian Garry? We're going to talk about that this week.
Yeah, we're about to find out. Liam, what'd you think? Would you enjoy watching it?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. I find it so irritating sometimes as an MMA fan that if you criticize the product, people just are like, no, like what? Like, and it's like, guys, we can just have opinions, or moreover, like we can be critical even when, there were other good fights. Like, yeah, I certainly enjoyed a lot of the fights on the card. Like even Fatima Klein didn't get the finish. I enjoyed that fight. I thought she really pushed. I thought she tried her best, right? So if you see somebody go out there, it doesn't matter if they finish or not. If they pursue the finish for 15 minutes, that's what we all want as fight fans. I just felt like we didn't get any pursuit of the finish in the main event, in the co-main event. I was kind of disappointed by both fights. And I thought, I literally coach wrestling. I grapple for fun. If I'm not enjoying it, like how is the casual fan at home going to enjoy that? Like you see people getting up from their $1,000 seats and leaving, midway through the fight. And that's kind of a reflection of what they were seeing. So for me, I didn't feel like the stakes of a UFC title fight like I normally do, because they just felt so lackluster and one-sided. And again, one-sided is one thing. A one-sided beatdown, okay. It was just like one-sided hold you down, and it was like, goodness gracious. It was like watching a freshman against a senior in a high school wrestling practice.
It was domination. And honestly, Islam, I contemplated, the size, how's he going to look? He looks fine at 170. Maybe that might be his new weight class. We'll see what we get to the bigger guys, but even JDM is pretty big. But either way, so UFC is in a new city, right? They've been all around the Middle East. Now we're in Qatar. I think it's the first card there, I believe. Obviously with that, they have a bunch of, Middle Eastern fighters. It's usually how they try and do it. Get some new faces on the page. And we'll start off with 2 new guys. We got Marek Bujalo versus Denzel Freeman. Freeman 6-1. Marek is 6-0. Odds on these 2 gentlemen, it was pretty close. And now Freeman's actually blew up to minus 200, and Marek is plus 170. So looking at guys here, Denzel Freeman seems to be a more well-rounded grappler, and Bujalo hasn't fought any real competition. You go look at his, his past fights, and you go watch any of his tape. None of those guys are really good. So this is kind of like a quote-unquote heavyweight slop fest. Does anyone have a take on this? Does anyone watch, extensive tape and have a side?
Yeah, so there's 2 fights on the card I didn't watch deep tape on, and it's the first 2 fights on the night. So yeah, I mean, I think Freeman is a decent wrestler with what I've seen, and I know this guy, Marek, he has not fought anyone, right? If you look at his record, it's not great. I know he's a BJJ guy, but the question is more so, do you think he can get the rest? Do you think he can get on top? Because if he don't, I don't really think he will. I don't really see him winning. And yeah, the striking is kind of weird, but it's always hard to cap fighters when they all fought cans and had no adversity. We don't really know what we're gonna get. But
Freeman's had some real competition.
I'm talking about the other guy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I guess Freeman should get it done.
Yeah, I think Freeman's also the more well-rounded fighter. He actually has a striking game. He's got some process. He's more put together. Bujo hasn't really impressed me at all. We haven't seen a lot. I mean, this honestly seems like a Dana White Contender Series fight. You guys know my rules when we look at a Dana White Contender Series fight. If I could look at if they don't got a lot of fight tape and I can't really see it and they're fighting cans, why should I believe it? So I'm going to take Freeman as well. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, so I did try to find tape on this fight, and I will just say on the Marek Bujlo side, I was able to find 2 fights. Neither one was against a very good opponent, so it didn't give me a great idea of like what he's going to look like against a skilled opponent. The thing I will note is that his opponent comes from a Greco-Roman wrestling background. You know, he also has a military background, but if you just look at like how Greco-Roman wrestling works, it's upper body, right? And the one thing that I do think could be a difference maker for Marek is if he's able to wrestle to the legs in this fight. And, you know, I haven't really seen him pushed by anybody who is capable of, you know, making him prove that, right? He shoots to the legs, works up to the body, and then trips guys' legs out and they fall over. So I don't think that Freeman's necessarily going to fall over that easy. But I will also say that a lot of the guys he's out grappling are really not very good at grappling, right? Like just like if you're watching what they're doing, the decisions they're making, and also just frankly, in this kind of division, when somebody big gets on top of you, it's a lot harder to recover position than in some of the more scrambly weight classes. So I think that whoever gets takedowns is probably going to win this fight. The other thing I'll note about Freeman, he kind of sets a pace that he can't sustain sometimes. Like that fight that he had against, I want to pull up his name just so I don't give out fake news. Isaiah Pinson in PFL, like he looked clearly better than that guy, in my humble opinion, but he just like couldn't fight his own pace. Like he was starting to get tired in the second round. He was starting to fall out of positions. And I don't know what Bujla looks like if he faces some adversity, but if he's able to, you know, fight hands for spawn, not get put away, I do think Freeman is a guy that kind of tires out over time. So for me, you know, I don't know how I could really trust either guy. And one guy is kind of blown up to be a favorite here. So it just puts me in a position where I'll probably be staying away from this fight. But, you know, maybe if somebody can put me onto some Bujlo tape where he goes longer than like, you know, a couple minutes just getting on top of guys and pounding them from the mount, then I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right. We'll just address some comments real quick. Yeah, they keep asking about intros to the show. I haven't figured out how to do a live intro yet. If anyone has an idea on how to do that, please let me know. Leave it in my DMs because I don't know how to set up DM or intro for the live events. Background music. Okay. It's under media assets. There's an intro video button, but they need a subscription. Use it. We have a subscription. That's why you can see the BTL thing up in the left or right, but I don't know. Key looks pale. What happened? Key's, you know, out busy being a coach, you know, coaching sports and stuff. So he'll be back for big events. Fatima Klein is her. Yeah, that was a coming out party for her, like we talked about. But, yep, Liam is a great guest. That's why we keep having him back. Yeah, Fatima's cardio was good. Her striking really has improved. Where's the coffee, Liam? They want to know. It's 9:00 at night. Daz, what's happening, brother? Thanks for joining us. How good is he and Garry? I mean, yeah, it's hard to wrestle when you're afraid of the guy striking. Looking forward.
I mean, it's not really the point. He's style on practice on the feet. It's kind of my point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking for Tristan to open our OnlyFans. Peggy, you made me some money this last week. Appreciate that. Guys like Freeman more well-rounded. I tend to agree. No reason to rush to play minus 200 on him. And Andy, why they fly these guys to Qatar instead of Dana White Contender Series or the Amex or the Apex? Because they have deals with the Emirates, and Dana White's been involved with the, you know, Riga season now, and what's his name? Your Excellency, Turkey or whatever his name is. So that's pretty much that. We're watching the Pinson fight live and thought Freeman won. If you had to guess what sport he coaches, what do you think he coaches? What's good? And then what's happening, Dixon?
What's up, Beacom?
Yeah, you guys can guess which sport Key coaches. All right.
Yeah, by the way, as far as Key goes, he's busy right now with the season, but he's gonna be back sooner than later. So don't you guys worry. He should be back next week for the big pay-per-view.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate that. And do me a favor, retweet the tweet that has us going live right now on Twitter. Next fight we got is Sajid Izagakhmaev. Izagakhmaev, I think it is, versus Nicholas Dalby. 23-6-1. Sajid is 22-2. I don't even know if I got that name right or close. That's probably the most difficult one on this card. Odds on these two gentlemen. Sajid or Khabib's boy is -315. Nicholas Dalby +265. Something that stands out, Sajid's been talking about a prospect coming into the UFC for a while. He's 31. Dalby is 41. Drav, I'm going to have you go first here. I mean, looking at this fight, we're looking at a kind of like a shell of Nicholas Dalby especially after the knockout that Randy Brown had. What do you think?
Yeah, again, it's a fight I didn't go deep in, so I think you have maybe a stronger read than I do. But I know a lot of people playing Dalby. I mean, he's 41 years old. He just got knocked out. He used to be very durable. I don't really want to bet him personally, even though I know that other kid is on a layoff, and I don't want to bet him either at big favorite, but he seems to be good to me, honestly. He's well-rounded. Like you said, he's Khabib guy. They're trying to push him. They're trying to sign him to the UFC. And with what I've seen, I don't think he's been injured while he's been inactive. So, yeah, I mean, he's well-rounded. I think he doesn't have much KO power, so I don't really think he's going to knock out Dalby. But I think he can get takedowns here, and he should win the fight. And, Dalby, Pat, is always close decision. And where the fight is taking place and with that guy, who that guy is, I don't think that's going to go well if the fight is, if it's a split decision. I don't think they're really going to go for Dalby. But, I mean, Dalby win not too long ago against Bonfim. He's aging well, to his credit. And he did hurt Randy Brown before, he got his nose broken. He took a ton of damage in that fight. But he's a dog. He has good cardio. I understand why people are betting him, right? He's a proven UFC vet at this stage. But at 41 after a KO loss, I'm not rushing to play him. I think this Russian should get it done, but I'm also not willing to pay the price.
Yeah, I tend to disagree. I think Sajid is fine here, and I think he's fine to parlay, and here's why. This is a guy that's fought, and yeah, sure, he's been active as of lately, but if you go back and look, he's fought guys like Carlston Harris. Like I think someone even just commented, who gets choked out by Carlston Harris. Carlston Harris's front choke game is very good. That's what he got caught by. But other than that, he's fought real competition in, one fighting and all these different organizations versus like the guys Dalby's beaten. Like everyone's trying to compare this event to the Rinat fight, but Rinat has like a loaded record. Like he's not as good as his record shows. This guy actually has proven competition. I mean, I think if there's a person to come back against, it's Nicholas Dalby coming off of a career worst knockout at 42 years old. Like, I don't know. They're kind of set him up in this spot. I think it's fine to play it. Looks good to me. What are you thinking, Liam?
Yeah, I haven't gone back and watched the Dalby tape. I mean, the Izagakhmaev, he's kind of had a layoff. That gives me some, concern. And the one thing I will note about that Carlston Harris fight is the thing that makes me concerned isn't him getting caught in the front choke, right? Like, anybody that could happen to. Carlston's dangerous there. But rewatching that fight, he got out of the front choke once. Like, he got out of that front headlock sequence. I just felt like he was starting to break under pressure. Like I felt like the way that he was like reacting, he was starting to move away. He was trying to like get away from him, and Carlston kept pushing the issue, and eventually he kind of folded the tent there. And I do think that that's the one thing Dalby does really well, right? Like we just saw Bonfim go out there and win that main event, and who was able to turn him back in the UFC? It was Dalby, man. And I bet Dalby against Rinat, bro. I just level with you. I thought that was fucking horseshit, bro. Like I thought they completely fucking jobbed us out there. So when I just look at, how Dalby fights, how he approaches it, he fights hard. He's not that easy to out grapple. And, again, like could he get his nose smashed up again? Absolutely. But I thought, Dravi mentioned like the fact that he's able to just dog it out a lot of the time. That's been a staple of his career. So maybe at 41, you can't find it anymore, but he still seems to be a guy that trains really hard. And, I just feel like he has like a style that could trouble this guy, especially we've seen guys underperform in UFC debuts that are good fighters. Talk about a layoff, then a UFC debut. It could just be added pressure for this guy. So maybe he's hungry, ready to go. I saw he had like a grappling match or something recently. So, he's trying to stay active, but one championship kind of jams up these guys' careers. It can be hard to make that transition sometimes. So looking back, I did watch a few of his fights in one, and I'll just be honest, man. Like those guys looked a little past it to me, and not that good on the ground, like easy rinse and repeat takedowns. I would be a little surprised if he was able to make it look that easy taking down Dalby.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a look here. Chronic Comeback, thanks for joining us, brothers. We appreciate it. Dalby round 3 decision, a lock. It's usually a pretty good way to play Dalby if he wins. I agree in fading the Harris fight, sort of quit, not a good look. Slowed down big time against Silviero too. If Dalby can survive, he may put it on late. I guess that's kind of the question. Dalby round 3 plus 2,000, kind of crazy line. He has been on a contract hold out at 1. Okay, and he was just in, like we just said, he's in Karate Combat in 2025, so he fought recently. I think Dalby's afraid of him getting robbed in a similar to Renault fight. 1-0 to do with this. Yeah, everyone's got to keep that in mind too. All these guys who are from this area of the world are going to get decisions that go their way pretty early. So don't be surprised when judging cards are pre-written. Soccer, yeah, I guess again, it's definitely not soccer. With the current steroid standards, these old guys are getting good again. Yeah, Dalby doesn't really seem like a guy to it doesn't seem like the guy to take steroids. Maybe our guy Sajid, but that'd probably be it. All right, next fight. We got Shakim Rock or Shem, right? New debut, the new guy on the street. Everyone seems to like him. Nurullo Aliev, he's been around. The Tajik Eagle, he's been pretty impressive so far. I've heard so many times people comparing this guy to Khabib. I don't see it. Don't really get it, but interesting fight. Line for Aliev is minus 275. Shemrock is plus 235. Both guys tend to be grapple heavy. You know, Shemrock's had a good submission game. Aliev grapples, pretty much the whole time. Liam, I'll have you go first. Do you think Shem is the guy to upset Aliev here, or does Aliev roll?
I mean, I'm not blown away by Aliev, to tell you the truth. Like, I think he's got a pretty good wrestling game. I think he's got pretty decent ground and pound. But like, if I'm not mistaken, this guy bit somebody back in the day. I haven't gone back to rewatch the fight, but like, I feel like he had some.
It was Raffael. It was Raffael Alves. Yeah.
Oh wow, dude. Yeah. So like, I feel like this guy's kind of like, a little bit of a head case, right? He's a young guy. He also, I'll remind people, had like a pretty big knee surgery early in his career, right? I don't know if people remember, he posted those surgery photos and the big brace and stuff on his leg. And, obviously he came back from that. He got the win against Selecki. But, the one thing I would say, I liked what I saw from Shemrock on the tape. Like, obviously he's a little bit older coming in as a prospect, right? But that split decision between friends, I didn't think that was a split decision. I thought that was a pretty obvious win, and he did get a 30-27 card there as well, which I thought was fair. Or at least like a plausible card. Round 3 gets a little more competitive. I thought the first 2 rounds were his rounds. So you look at that fight, and you look at some of his other fights, the guy's willing to grapple. He can grapple from top and bottom position. He can scramble back up to his feet when he's taken down. He's willing to mix in some ground and pound, some short shots. He also goes for the back take all the time, and he's quite good at that. If he gets the back, it typically is the round or the fight, and it's just like, that seems like a good guy to back at these kind of odds, right? He's a big, long guy. He's fighting, in a big opportunity here. And I do think like crowd dynamics, things like that, that's probably going to work against him. But if you've ever seen the guy, like, he doesn't give a shit about the crowd. He didn't give a shit about people's opinions. Like, he's pretty, opinionated. What do you want to call it? Like, confident, like arrogant, like borders on that. Like, my man is ready to go in there and throw down, and he believes in his skills. So do I think he could get out wrestled here and kind of like held down and, maybe beat up with some ground and pound? Yeah, I think that's like the downside risk. But overall, I think at the price, he offers some upside here. So for me, it'd be a dogger pass situation. And like, I kind of feel that way on these early fights, just because there's some unknowns on those other guys. Based on the knowns here, I was able to watch a few of Shem's fights, and some of them go longer, and other ones he's able to dominate really quick. So you kind of get a little bit of a breadth of his skills. And Aliev, hasn't been supremely active since he got to the UFC, and the wins he's gotten, I think they're okay. But again, I'm not blown away. So I just feel like Shemrock's going to go out there and give him an honest fight. And, if he's the better grappler, as it turns out, then he's going to win the fight, I feel. So Yeah, I'm fired up about this one, man. It should be exciting. I got to really quickly walk my dog, but I'll be back in about 2 seconds, and I will be listening from my phone. So I will miss nothing.
Go do your thing. We'll talk about it. I see a lot of guys catching on here. I lean the over. And the reason is Aliev is a pretty good grappler. All his fights tend to extend. We got a grappler versus grappler matchup. Sure, Shem's probably better on the feet, but Aliev's a guy who dominates on top. He'll get on top and he'll just ride guys out for about 1 to 2 rounds. Red flags for me were round 3 against Selecki and Alves, honestly. Round 3s were both my red flags because, Aliev looks like he got tired in those fights and looked like he kind of just wanted to get out of there at that point. So that's a little bit concerning, but I think over is totally fine, especially if you like Aliev. Instead of paying that huge price, you just pay for the over. What do you think, Drop?
Yeah, I do think if you like Aliev, the over is better than the money line for sure, man. I mean, he's not a good finisher whatsoever. I think he has like 20% finish rate, which is kind of crazy. As
I think that's what this guy said, Joseph.
Yeah, so exactly. So yeah, I mean, he's not a good finisher. To his credit, he's only 24, and he's going to be improving. That's for sure. But I'm just not impressed with the guy. Like, he's a good wrestler, decent top time, decent ground and pound. That's about it. His striking is not good. His cardio is a bit shaky. He put himself in submission attempt, even on the regional. I saw him in triangle position and stuff like that, but he seems to know what he's doing. Like, he seems to have good submission defense. But yeah, I don't think he's the type of guy you want to lay big chalk on personally, because he's going to win a decision. It's going to be he's not going to do too much damage. And honestly, with the way they're judging the fights these days, his style is not going to age well. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're a wrestler that is boring, that doesn't do much from top, and you're fighting like on a big card or something like that, the ref's he's gonna stand you back up, So, and the judges, if you get beat up a bit on the feet before getting the takedown, they're gonna score against you. But yeah, I mean, in Qatar, I guess it's good for him, but we don't really know at the same time. It's all narrative at the end of the day. They've never been there, the UFC. I tend to lean they're gonna favor him. They're gonna let him play his game. But at the same time, I mean, Rock is gonna play off his back. He's gonna try to get work. He's gonna try to get back up, and as you guys said, he's the better BJJ guy. His grappling, his pure BJJ is better. He's the better submission grappler. And what if Rock take Aliev down? Personally, I think Aliev off his back is not good.
No,
there's not too many evidence to say that. But if you watch back the round 3 against Alves, when he got taken down, when Alves go for full mount, he had no issues passing. And then, yeah, he didn't do too much damage, but that was because he was also very gassed. And Joe Selicki in round 3, remember, he took him down, and then he got on top. 30 seconds left. He couldn't do much, but I mean, he got full mount again, and then he was working on a arm triangle, but the fight was over after. So I think that guy round 3 is concerning, but at the same time, Rock cardio is not the greatest. He can slow down himself, but I think both guys can slow down in round 3. I think the striking is going to be competitive. I don't think Rock striking is all that good. I don't rate his boxing, but he's a southpaw. He's a big dude, and I like his kicks. I think his steep kick to the body is pretty good. And yeah, I think it's going to be close on the feet. And then, yeah, I think Aliev can take him down, and then maybe he can just ride him. But I do think Rock is live to get the back here, or is live to take him down and, win some minutes on the feet. So, yeah, I think it's a dog or pass situation for sure. And I like that look as well. The
that's
plus
what I was saying. That's where my kind of going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you lose 30-27, but again, we don't know how they're gonna score fights in this location. So maybe we see a clear 29-28 for Aliev, right? And they have 30-27 for him somehow, some way. So just be careful. But I do think he's live to win the fight, and I think he's more likely to finish. I'm gonna lean his way, but I'm not too confident about it. Yeah, he's a bit of an unknown. He has not fought good guys. I also think there's a lot of props to play. Like, if you like Shemrock, I think round 1 prop is decent. Finish only, spread bet, even the money line I think is wide. So yeah. That's my thoughts on the fight.
Yep, he likes over as well. People are excited about the Shem show with Malcolm Wellmaker. Yeah, I mean, Cody Haddon was me and Key's favorite bet of the card, and I mean, imagine what Haddon would have done to him.
I mean, it's not fair to say. I mean, the guy that fought Wellmaker is pretty damn good. He's gonna win a lot of fights in the UFC. I don't think because of that you can say Cody Allen would have won. We don't know if Cody Allen would have taken the shot that this guy took.
Yeah, I think he would have.
Maybe, but I think it's kind of silly to say, oh, Cody Allen would have smoked him. We don't know. We don't even know if he can take those punches. But yeah, I mean, I think that guy that beat Wellmaker is pretty damn good, honestly.
Yep. All right. He definitely is. And Ewing, betting you, I put a small bet on him because betting Ewing in Pat Ewing's home, MSG, no brainer. Next fight is pretty much Twitter's fight of the week, or people's favorite dog, Ryan Loder versus Ismail Nardiev. I think this is really just coming from, actually, let's just look at the odds real quick. Nardiev is minus 131, Ryan Loder plus 111. Everyone's rushing to the counter to cash on Loder because Loder, is a pretty good wrestler, everything like that. Ismail Nadiev's takedown defense isn't the greatest, and we just watched Iron Turtle cook him in whatever country that was. I can't remember where they were, another Middle Eastern country where Ismail got destroyed and was like getting eye pokes, and it was like all crazy shit going on. And he just got tired and quit. We've seen him get tired before. Ryan Loder can push a pace, can get takedowns, probably get top time here. Ryan Loder at plus odds, easy bet for me. I think it's easily dog or pass. Yeah, I think that's pretty much covers it from my standpoint. What do you think, Joff?
Yeah, one thing you didn't mention is Nardiev fight IQ.
Yeah,
his fight IQ is fucking terrible, man. Like, he's winning against Park on the feet. He's piecing him up, and then somehow he decides to grapple, and then he loses the grappling, right? And then after that, you piece him up again, and then you grapple again, and you get reversed, and you end up in bad position. I think he's fucking dumb. You know what? You go back in the days, he should have taken down against Sean Brady. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I don't know, man. He's a former. One thing you didn't mention, I think it's a big thing that's very important here, is he's a former welterweight, and he's not a big middleweight whatsoever, Nardiev. And Loder is actually a pretty big, strong wrestler, and he's big for 185. So I think there's two things here. I think Loder, I mean, his striking is not very good. We know that, but he's a southpaw. He has decent kicks, decent straight left hand down the pipe. It's nothing to write home about, but he's smart compared to that other bum. Like, he's smart. Like, he's not the greatest, but he's a really good wrestler, and he knows what he's good at. And I think his top game is pretty legit, and he's pretty good in the clinch. So I think he's going to push the pace. He's going to win the clinch, and he's going to take this guy down. My worry is maybe it's not going to be easy early, because I think Nardiev takedown defense early on when he's fresh is good. And Nardiev is obviously the better striker, and he can maybe hurt Loder early on. But as the fight goes, I think Loder has better cardio. And Loder's going to try to shoot, but Nardiev is not just going to try to defend or something. Like, he's going to try to shoot himself, I feel like. And even if he does not, he's going to get fatigued because of the grappling. And when that happens and he's off his back, I don't think he's good on the ground when he's on bottom. And I think Loder has decent ground and pound, and he has a submission game. So, yeah, again, bigger guy, better wrestler, better cardio. I think he has a big favorite upside after round one. But yeah, round one can be sketchy, could get bonked, but
it's not a bad live. It's a better live bet spot. It's kind of where I was leaning to, like Champ said here.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But at the same time,
on this fight, what was the over set to?
Yeah, it's like pick him over 2.5. But the thing with that peg is, like, if Loder get a takedown early on,
he gets a
get on top,
like he did against Valentine.
Yeah, and then you're not gonna have any chance to live bet. But yeah, I mean, I tend to think Nardiev might defend some takedowns early, but again, he might shoot himself. He's very dumb. So, and beating Bruno Silva doesn't tell me much. The guy's a washed guy, and the Park fight, like, that was bad, man. I mean, he's lucky. I think 10 more seconds at the end of round 2, and he get finished via rear naked choke in that fight. And I had round 2-3 Park, and he knee him in the face, illegal shit. That was something. Park is a legend to continue fighting after that, and
that fight with Park didn't really age well either, to be honest.
Yeah, he's kind of declining too. Yeah, that's true. Liam, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, we got an American wrestler here, man, and Ryan Loder. What do you think?
Yeah, Bekzaat, I think his stock went down, and I do think that's part of why this line is where it's at. Like people at the time, I think were more forgiving of that loss, and then he goes out and loses, so now it kind of takes a little bit
I
of the
was
luster
there.
away. No, I know you were, buddy. No worries. You know the right time to hold him and fold him, but then you look at Nardiev on the other side, and pretty unimpressive dude, right? Like basically everybody else who was fighting Bruno Silva was able to put him away, right? And Nardiev wasn't able to do that, even though he was able to get the win over a guy who was like clearly post prime and like on his way out. So I feel like we look at Loder here, and he's way less experienced, and I do think he's a little bit jittery. I think there's a decent chance he could get knocked out here, but aside from that, I do think he's got some potential upside going out there and wrestling, finding his groove there. The thing is, man, just like his lack of cage time, his lack of experience. Nardiev's had a lot of UFC fights, and without having to cut weight, maybe that's a little bit better for his cardio. So those are the only potential upsides. But I got to be honest, fellas, this is one of the fights that I didn't go back and watch film on. So I'd have to go back and do a little bit more study here, but ultimately, I remember thinking when I watched back more Loder tape that he might be live against Yakhaev, and then he got absolutely sparked. So, it's a dangerous thing, knowing a little bit of information. So I think Loder can be dangerous at his best, but ultimately kind of hard to trust him as well. His durability seems like a question mark.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay here just because, Ismail hasn't been the most impressive, but we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on the line. Probably I saw people get like plus 140, plus 150. That's fine. Now it's like plus 115. So just going to watch and see. Loder showed some of the worst striking defense I've ever seen against Azamat. And Nardiev isn't it. Yeah, we're talking about Qatar is the most corrupt pro-Islam country in the world. Something to consider when you're looking at spreads. All right, that's good to know. All right. Next fight is another one people were talking about. Alexandre Topuria, obviously, Ilia Topuria's younger brother. He's 6-1. He's fighting Bekzat Almabayev. Almabayev is the first guy to knock out Bracatona, I believe. And that uppercut he hit Bracatona with was fucking crazy. So one of the better ones we've seen. Odds in these two gentlemen, Bekzat's minus 115. Alexandre Topuria is minus 105. So it's kind of pretty much a straight pick him at this rate. Liam, you just got back. I'll let you go first here, man. Did you take a look into this? Do you think Bekzat's kind of improving? He's got the power to knock out Alexandre Topuria, or do you think Topuria is going to win here?
I didn't do too deep of a study into this one. I would say that, Topuria does have the build where it looks like he could potentially go out there and mix in the wrestling. That is how we saw Almabayev lose a fight in the UFC. He just got taken down and kind of blanketed for the most part by Umar after landing a decent shot on the feet and kind of giving people hope like, oh, maybe this guy has something. Then against Katona, we've seen Katona kind of get buzzed before, but to your point, not an easy guy to put away, not an easy guy to finish or knock out, very tough. And he kind of just went out there and styled on him. So, that's kind of a weird sample, right? Like he goes out there, he kills the guy in one fight and he, kind of gets held down and blanketed in the other fight. Then you look at Topuria, his win over Thickness, that's okay, right? But pretty entry-level stuff and really doesn't have a great resume. He's got a great, name. He's got a great, lineage, all this, but it's like, what does he actually put on paper in terms of a resume? That's kind of limited, right? So it looks like he's a good boxer. It looks like he can wrestle. So, yeah, honestly, like Bekzat just feels like a dangerous guy, in his own right. And one thing that is interesting to me is like you would expect with name value alone Topuria to be like a big favorite here. And instead the line is like a virtual pick'em. And that to me feels kind of telling that, there's some sharp dollars behind the Bekzat side here. And that makes sense to me. I think Bekzat's a good fighter. Umar wasn't able to put him away, even though he had some, opportunities on top to work. So I feel like Bekzat is going to be, honest for 15 minutes unless he gets caught with a big right hand. And, that to me is baked into the line. And then, if he's just a better striker, then he's probably going to run away with this one.
Yeah. Honestly, I went into tapes like at the time when Bekzat, I think he was an underdog. I think he was like plus 120. And I was like, I'm going to try and get to a Bekzat side here. And before I was even done taping, I go back and look. Now all of a sudden he's minus 140. And now Topuria is plus 120. So I'm like, damn, I missed my shot on Bekzat. But leaving tape, I think it's kind of hard. I was kind of looking at it like whichever guy you get at plus money seemed fair to me. Obviously, Bekzat, like we've seen him improve. He's got good power. We've seen him, fight Umar Nurmagomedov and knock him down early. Like you said, we knocked out Brad Katona, so the power's there. I think the wrestling's kind of getting there. Like Champ just said, I like that he's at ATT now and he's developing his full game. Topuria against Colby, I wasn't really impressed. Like Colby Thanesi got brought in on like a 1-day contract to fight Topuria, and like even then, it looked like he couldn't get close to a finish, and it didn't really like look good to me. I haven't been really impressed with Alexandre Topuria. Do I think he's going to lose this fight? No, but honestly, I think this fight has like 29-28 Bekzat written all over it to me personally. I mean, name value is good, and obviously Topuria is in the room training with his brother, who's probably a good pocket boxer and swings pretty hard, I would say. So it's not like he hasn't seen power coming his way before. But I guess it comes down to the wrestling aspect that you mentioned. For me personally, I'm not sure if Topuria comes out here and has a grappling game plan. If he does, sure, I think it could look more aside. But if it stands on the feet, I got to lean Bekzat. I think Bekzat's probably going to be the win here. So I like Bekzat money line. Kind of just waiting to bet it, see what the line does. It hasn't moved since Pick'em. What do you think, Droff?
Yeah, so on this one, as you guys mentioned, it's kind of a tricky fight to call. And to Liam's point, there's big action on both sides on this fight, because when there's a lot of money and sharp people playing one side, there's other sharps playing the other side, which make the line go back and forth, and that you can get both guys at plus money. And Peg, you made a good point. I think both of those guys at plus 120, plus 130 range, it's probably the way to go. Because we don't really know too much about Topuria. I feel like I think he's good, but we don't really know how good he is yet, right? Because he has not really fought anyone. And one thing about this fight that made me kind of hard to have a good read on it is the Topuria grappling, because we've seen Bekzat taking down and grapple, but it was against Umar in his UFC debut, right? And to his credit, he did escape some bad position. Like Umar had full mount at one point. He was able to escape. He was able to get back up at one point. He was able to not get submitted. And then if you go back and watch on regional, he actually has good takedowns himself, good takedown defense, and he fought better competition. So I don't think he's a fish on the mat, or I don't think his wrestling is terrible. But I do think Topuria is probably going to be stronger, and he's probably going to be the better grappler of the two. I think that's going to be the difference maker of the fight. But in the striking, I think Bekzat is really fast and really powerful. I saw him live knocking out Brad Katona. The crowd was not expecting that. They went full silence. It was crazy. That uppercut was nasty. And Topuria, he's a really good boxer, but like he's low volume. And I'm not too sure how good his grappling is. And I think that's going to be the difference maker in this fight. So I kind of lean Topuria, but I was leaning Bekzat at first. So I'm going back and forth on this one. I don't have a strong read, but I lean Topuria. I think he has more upside.
All right. Topuria shell and high guard. Bekzat has more power, but he overextends. Topuria is so low volume. Who the hell could tell? I tend to agree. This I also agree with. I mean, like that uppercut was damn good. Put it on a dime. Bekzat time. We kind of went over this comment already as well. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be an interesting fight. A lot of these fights it's actually a really good card. Like this one is also super exciting for grapplers, right? We'll call it a grapplers delay. We got Kyoji Horiguchi versus Tagir Ulanbekov. Tagir Ulanbekov 17-2. Kyoji Horiguchi is 34-5. Another guy that comes back to the UFC just a little bit older and kind of past his prime, right? 35 years old. Now he's getting given to Tagir in the East, Middle East. Line these two gentlemen, Kyoji Horiguchi's plus 175. Line on Tagir Ulanbekov is minus 205. Leo, I'm going to ask you first, man. From a grappler standpoint, I know, Horiguchi's got pretty good wrestling and grappling. So does Tagir, and Tagir's got a good front choke. How do you think this fight goes?
There's a couple things to note here. Like, I respect a guy like Kyoji, but I also feel like he is a guy that is pretty small, right? And, when you look at him competing at 125, I certainly think that's a better fit for him than 135. But, he's kind of got the small stature. He works a wrestling game at times. He could strike a little bit as well. So he does a lot of things really well. But, I remember I bet Patchy Mix as a big underdog against Kyoji. And the reason being was I thought he could take his back. I thought he was going to be the bigger man in there. And a lot of that is what ended up playing out. And I feel like Tagir, although he's not a bantamweight, he's not as big as Patchy. We've kind of seen Patchy has had some struggles at times in the UFC getting to his grappling game, right? But he was able to impose it on Kyoji pretty consistently in that fight. So I think that when you look at Tagir, he's a pretty good wrestler. He's got excellent submission grappling. I do think sometimes his cardio leaves a little bit to be desired, but yeah, I think Tagir is a pretty good fighter, man. He's a pretty tough out in the UFC, and the guys that have beaten him have been very good grapplers. So, with respect to Kyoji, I don't think he's been, given an easy fight in his comeback. And the other thing I'll notice, he's just had a ton of fights, and I do feel like the damage has accumulated a little bit. Like I kind of worry about his chin at times. I don't know that this is the kind of matchup where that's going to be a huge difference maker, but I do just feel like, there might have been a time where he was able to take some shots on the chin cleanly that he's not able to take now. And I think part of that's moving back and forth between weight classes. I think part of that is also just having a shitload of fights, right? Especially in close proximity. So, I feel like Tagir is probably going to get this one done. And I'll also just note that whenever you come from another organization to the UFC, I don't think they're doing you any favors in the matchmaking. Just take that for whatever it's worth. Like I don't think they're trying to like help guys out. I think they're like, who's a pretty inconspicuous guy with a really dangerous record that is hard to put away and is going to give you a tough
just
fight.
to show they have higher.
You earned your keep in the UFC.
Yeah, they want to show they have higher talent than the other organizations.
Yep.
Drav, what are you thinking here? You got anything different?
Yeah, Liam touched on it. I think Horiguchi is declining. He's a good fighter, but his durability is failing him. Even in his last fight where he was dominated, he was getting hurt. I don't like to see that. And he got knocked out brutally against Perez not too long ago. And yeah, so I think his durability is declining. He's getting older as well, but he's a good fighter, man. He's a good striker. But yeah, I think Tagir's striking is a bit underrated. I think his striking is also pretty good. He needs to worry about calf kicks, always an issue for him. And yeah, the way I see it is I think Horiguchi has done a good job recently as being the better grappler in his fight and using his grapplings to win. And I think here that's not going to be the case. I think he can be taken down. I think Tagir is the better grappler. I think Tagir is more likely to win minutes from top position. And also think if anyone finish, it's probably going to be Tagir, either by sub or TKO. So yeah, I think Horiguchi could win, maybe a close decision. But again, we're in Qatar, which is probably better for Tagir. But yeah, I think Tagir should get it done. I think the price is justified.
Yeah, I like Tagir here as well. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. Kind of like these guys said, the UFC never sets these guys coming over from a different organization. They never set them up for success, to be totally honest with you. And then, Tagir is going to have, the front choke series that he always does. I think his boxing will compete. And like we said, like he's kind of just past his age. They keep getting these guys from other organizations that would have been great. Like the Sergio Pettis fight. He was looking good before he got spinning back fist. Like it's just these different like stories and different career trajectories. Just so interesting what they've done with Tagir, where like he's still this guy fighting like top 15 and behind. Like they're not giving him anyone up in the division to move forward.
Yeah, so, I hope after that he gets like a top 10 or something.
I mean, dude, how old is Tagir now? Like
he's getting older, man. He's
34. And he's been at that right at the line of fighting the top 10 for a while now. I feel like they should have just been giving it to him now.
Yeah. I think they're doing that to him because he missed weight. I think he missed weight for the Judge Van fight, and the fight got canceled because of that. And I think there's another fight he canceled. And also to note, I mean, the fight was supposed to happen in June. Now Horiguchi pulled out because he got injured, and then they rebooked it only 3 months after. So, he did also avenge his defeat to Sergio Pettis, but I still think the guy is declining, but he's still a good fighter.
Definitely. All right, next fight we have Abdul Rahman Yakhaev versus Raffael Cerq. Raffael Cerq is 11-3. Total bum, shouldn't be in the UFC. Then we have Abdul Rahman Yakhaev, who's been pretty impressive, 7-0. Pretty good finisher. Odds on these two gentlemen. We have Yakhaev is minus 1,400. Raphael's plus 850. I mean, Yakhaev is the biggest favorite. I mean, even the under is minus 300 now. I think that was the way to play it. Our guys got like minus 250 in our Discord. I mean, there's not much to say. This guy Raffael, he's constantly in these fights where like he doesn't belong in the UFC. He's 0-3. Everyone's just knocking him out. And I think Yakhaev does the same thing here and probably finishes him quickly. What do you think, Drav?
Yeah, I think Yakhaev is actually pretty good. Good submission grappler, good striker, power, decent cardio. And yeah, I think he's pretty good. He's still young. I think he's what, 20? All these?
He is 24.
Yeah, he's only 24, and he has a good build for the weight class. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. And I'll keep this one simple. I think Cerq, I think he's not great. He doesn't like getting hit, and you just shell up against the fence when you get hit with the big shots. I think that's what's going to happen here. But also for the guy that has the BJJ credential that he has, I didn't like what I saw at the last fight against Julius Walker, who was a green fighter in MMA. And, Walker was going for a lot of submission against him. I think Yakhaev, if he gets to those positions, he probably choke him out. So I think Yakhaev can submit him. I think he can knock him out. So, yeah, I think the big price tag is justified. If you want to take a poke on the submission, I don't mind it. If you want to just play the round one, every time Cerq lose, it tends to be early. And you just cover up when you get hit hard. And Yakhaev, I think he has good precision on his shots. He's going to find the kill shot.
All right, Liam, what are you thinking?
Liam, you're muted, I think. Your webcam turned black. Maybe he was there 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's a huge favorite. People in the chat saying nobody would blame him if he throw a fight, but I mean, he can't really throw a fight if he's a plus 700 underdog, So
at this point, what would everyone blames her here for throwing the fight?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He can't do it anymore.
I mean, yeah, there's a world. There's a way I had to leave and come back in. All right, go ahead, do your thing.
Oh, good, bro.
Main partner with Gelatin, but can't defend takedowns. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me either. Tend to agree with you.
People were hyping this guy up when he made his debut.
Could be finished. What is there to say? There's not much to say.
Exactly.
We'll remove Liam for a second. We'll move right back on here. Exciting fight, right? We got Luke Riley versus Bogdan Grad. Bogdan Grad 15-3. Luke Riley 11-0. This is a great matchmaking for two guys who throw on banger fights. Like Bogdan had a great fight. Luke Riley's won like yearly awards for his fights over at Cage Warriors. They're always entertaining. The reason they are so entertaining is because Luke Riley always ends up getting hurt and coming back. And that's kind of the biggest concern for me here. I'm not a huge fan of Cage Warrior fighters. Luke Riley's kind of overhyped. For me personally, like I think this is going to be a banger, but I think Bogdan Grad at plus 230 is way too wide for me personally. So I think it's dog or pass, but I have no interest. I don't feel like this is a spot where like we're quote unquote missing the fade on it's not the spot where we're missing the fade on Bogdan Grad, but we're also not getting like a sick price on, Luke Riley that's going to win something. But I just have no interest in it. It's going to be a pass, but it's dog or pass for me. What do you think, Joff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fight, and I've talked to some people that like the Grad side. I get it. He's a physical guy. He can maybe grapple a bit in this fight. We've seen Luke Riley, like you said, he has his flaws. Like, he's been hurt before. He can be taken down. But, I mean, I'm way higher on this guy than people are. And, I mean, to his credit, he's only 26. So, if you owed some fights against him when he was 23, 24, first of all, he won them all. He won all of those fights, even if he had adversity. So, yeah, if I see a guy hurt, that you can either hold that against him, or you can say props to him. He got hurt, and he still managed a way to to win the fight, right? So yeah, I mean, the fight against Loaf was such a banger. That's the fight you were referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And even against John DeJesus, we know he's a good fighter, right? He's not easy to beat on the regional, and he's only been KO one time ever. So Luke Riley did his thing in that fight. He won the first 2 rounds, and then in round 3, he got hurt to the body. And he played cool and he survived right at the end of round 3. But normally I like his style because, first of all, he has really good boxing. He has power for the weight class. nasty body shots. He has the pace, the pressure, the volume, the cardio, and he's gonna cook you, man. He's gonna cook you. He's gonna go to your body. And yeah, I really like his boxing. So he's a really good striker. So yeah, maybe you can take him down. Maybe you can hurt him, but he's a tough guy, man. I've seen this guy hurt and cut, and he still won those fights. And he bit down on his mouthpiece. And yeah, his takedown defense is not the best, but I also think his get-up game is decent. And I don't rate Grad as a grappler, honestly. Like he's strong, and maybe he can take him down, but Grad slowed down in a lot of these fights. And for me here, there's one fight on Grad resume that it's pretty comparable to this one. It's the Michael Aswell fight. Aswell, really good boxer, volume, pace, cardio, volume. The thing with Aswell, the difference here, maybe he's more durable than Riley. Like his chin is better, but he has no power and he doesn't throw as much to the body. Riley, to me, is gonna do the same thing as Aswell did. Aswell is a guy that get taken down, is a guy that can be hit, and I think Aswell should have won, first of all. And then Aswell, he was getting the better of the striking, but yeah, Grad landed a couple takedowns. He couldn't hold him down. But yeah, the difference is I think Riley is going to cook his body, and I think he's going to hit him way harder than Aswell did. And even Aswell, he did buzz him a couple times. And, even Naimov hurt him. I know it was a spinning kick, but he still hurt him. Tom Nolan knocked this guy out, even though it was up a weight class. And yeah, Lucas Alexander was kind of winning until he gassed and he quit. So, I mean, Grad, for me, he has some attributes. Like he's a physical dude. He can grapple a bit. He has some power, some decent striking. But I just think he's outmatched on the feet here, personally. I think he's outmatched in the cardio. And I just think Riley, maybe he's going to have a tough round one. That's his UFC debut as well. But I really trust him more as the fight goes. And if you slow down and you have a guy that's going to hit you to the body with some massive shot and is going to put on a crazy pace pressure on you, I don't think he's going to handle that. So for me here, I think it's Riley. I think it's Riley by knockout in round 2 or round 3. And yeah, people are going to know. People are hating on this kid, but I think he can be really good. And I think he's going to have a lot of fun fights in the UFC. I don't see it with Grad personally.
No, I just think Grad is kind of a dog. He's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, but Riley is also a dog.
Yeah, I listen. Like I said, I don't think there's for me personally, I don't think there's a super crazy side. I think Riley live, maybe he'll get better odds because, like I said, most of the fights he's getting hurt and then coming back and putting on fight of the night. So I don't see him stunting on Grad the whole fight. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. There's also a chance that you just clip him pretty hard early and you put him down. Grad is very hittable and he doesn't move his head. Riley is a sniper, man. He finds his shot very well.
That's why both these guys keep getting fight of the nights and awards because they're both very hittable. They both get hurt. They both come back. They both put on bangers of fights. This is perfect. This is perfectly set up for a banger. Liam, what do you think?
Yeah, I do think that Grad offers some things that I like in this matchup, which is he's attempted 25 takedowns in his last 3 fights. That's pretty consistent. Yeah. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try and take you down. And, I think he realized hey, listen, at 155, these guys are too fucking big. I'm going to get hit too hard. I don't need this shit in my life. He got knocked out by Tom Nolan, went down to 145. And at 145, he's a big physical guy. He looks like an effing science experiment, right? If you just look at Bogdan Grad, he looks like he is just, I am maxing out as many years as I have on this planet right now. And if I die at 55 because I inject myself every night, that's okay. Dude is just all in on MMA. And again, I think Luke Riley is an impressive guy, but just when you look at guys that sometimes can beat prospects, they're guys that have a lot of experience, which Grad has had a million fights, pro and amateur. And then they're guys that are big, physical, can just horse them around, kind of get to the position they want. And looking at Luke Riley's last fight, somebody in the chat actually mentioned it. Joseph said his last fight against Abasov got taken down and held down until Abasov gassed. And I agree. It just seemed like Abasov fell apart in that fight more than Luke Riley really had to do anything to him. Luke did his part, right? As soon as what I'd say is he's got great finishing instincts. If you show him the door, if you show him you're looking, he's going to get you out of there. But I also think Bogdan Grad is a guy that's looking for a way in, right? If he gets hurt, he's still trying to grab you. He's still trying to find a way back into the fight. He's a real competitor. So I think that Bogdan Grad's probably going to be outclassed on the feet, but I do think he throws hard. I think he could probably land a couple shots back if they just exchange. And I also think, we did see him go out there with Michael Aswell and put up over 100 significant strikes, which for me is a really impressive figure, at any level, right? So I've been high on Bogdan Grad, coming into that Lucas Alexander fight, because I was like, look at what he did against Aswell. And I really respect Aswell, I think he's a good fighter, right? I also think his takedown defense is better. That's the only difference I would make between him and Luke Riley. Maybe Luke Riley, who's a young guy and kind of knows the assignment, is going to come in here and show better takedown defense. But that's, for me, the prerequisite. Because if he doesn't, I do think he's going to spend a lot of time on his back in this fight. And, Bogdan Grad is a guy who's kind of willing to win it ugly. Like any which way, if he could punch you in the eye, stick you in the eye, he's just a guy that wants to win the fight by any means necessary. And, for me, that could be an ugly, gritty decision where he ends up wrestling him and landing a couple big elbows and things like that. And so I think good fight, fun scrap, probably going to be fight of the night potential. But, I could see this being a decision that goes either way if Riley doesn't get the knockout. He is a sharp counterpuncher. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's the other thing I wanted to give him credit for. A couple of the fights that he had didn't last long because the guy came in a little over hungry, over swinging, and he just caught him on the counter. So that's a good part of Luke Riley's game.
Yeah, on steroids versus the prepubescent. That's funny. Zero takedown defense, guy being held down by Cage Warrior guys. Yeah, that's definitely happening. Good fight, different styles. Luke has been fighting, so he'd probably be fine. No pass from me. I kind of tend to agree with that. All right. Next fight we have here is Asu Almabayev versus Alex Perez. Asu Almabayev coming off a win against Ochoa. Alex Perez obviously coming off a loss to Tatsu Taira, where that had that knee injury and he had to get a knee reconstruction. Looking at this fight, odds in these two gentlemen, you can get Almabayev minus 200, Perez plus 175. This one's pretty controversial. Drav, is Alex Perez. I think we both were on Alex Perez versus Mokaev, right? I think we both played that. I think he won that fight. Now we have him here again against a grappler, and where he has a clear striking edge. Are we going to back him again at plus 175, or are we worried about the surgery and he's 2 passes prime?
Yeah, I'm worried about the surgery. He's a guy that had a ton of injury in his career, a ton of pull out of fight. And, he's 1-4, I think, is in his last 5. And his last loss, he got injured in, and he went through a big ACL surgery, which I don't like to see, man. Especially, he's not getting any younger from now. He's on a layoff. And, but yeah, if we look at the matchup, Perez is a good wrestler. He's a good counter grappler, and he's maybe the better striker here, or at least it's close. So yeah, maybe he can defend Asu takedowns, and he did pretty well against Mokaev. What I didn't like, and why I'm also hesitant to bet him, is even though he defended a lot against Mokaev and did great takedown defense wise, he still didn't land a lot on the feet. He was too happy about defense, and he didn't throw enough volume when he had opportunity because he was worried about the takedown. So that's an issue that I have. And Asu also, he has a decent submission game. So we've seen Perez struggle with that a lot of in his career. So maybe Asu can submit him. And like you said, maybe he's just washed at this point. We don't really know. Fighters, sometimes they don't come back the same after ACL surgery. So Asu is a good fighter, man. His last one was good. He's a good grappler. And he's going to shoot a lot of takedowns. You know what he's good at. So I kind of think Asu is going to get maybe a couple takedowns here and make it competitive on the feet. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Perez win this fight, but it's just hard for me to back him at this stage of his career.
Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I just have to say, justice for Tatsuro Taira. Everybody else gets credit when they injure their opponent inside the cage. And then this guy goes out there, puts a ton of pressure on the guy's knee from a dominant standing grappling position. And then the guy's knee explodes and everybody's like, oh, what an unfortunate injury. Taira got lucky. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But in any case, if you look at, where Alex Perez is at, he's in a prove it spot. The guy's hardly winning fights. When he is winning, it's Mateus Nicolau, with who all due respect, the guy's chin just doesn't hold up at this level, right? He got knocked down by Asu Almabayev. Need I say more? So you just go back and you say, okay, what's the deal with Alex Perez? Like, he's having tough fights, with some good guys on his resume, but he's 33. He's coming off a major knee surgery. And the recent fights, even that Tatsuro Taira fight, all right, let's imagine he doesn't get injured. How's that going for him? Like, he's got Taira on his back when they're both pretty dry early in the fight. Dravi just mentioned it, maybe struggles with the submission defense at times. Like, yeah, I think that was going to end poorly. Like, if I just had to make a guess, like, I don't think that was going to go super great. So I think that Taira as well has shown, he can diddy bop people on the feet, right? He can land heavy shots. So ultimately, I thought that, Perez, he's been in a couple of, tough runouts. Now it's like at 33, when a guy's going to go out there and test your knee, like, what does wrestling do? It puts a lot of strain on your knee, guys. Like, it tests a lot of your ability to move, maneuver, pivot, put pressure on it. Like, that just sounds like a disaster, right? And one thing that sometimes these surgeries can do, it makes it hard to trust yourself. So, like, I don't like any of this for Alex Perez coming in here. And, I think Asu, like, he's going to go out there and shoot 10 takedowns in this fight, right? Like, I'd be stunned if he doesn't do that. So he's going to go out there and press the issue. He's going to go out there and try and get on top of this guy. He's going to try and test his submission defense. And, like, if it's just a pure striking fight, I think it's probably competitive. If not, maybe Asu has been showing a little bit more willingness to get active in there lately and throw some hands, right? Even against Manel Kape, he landed 40 significant strikes in that fight. So in a fight where he got stopped, right? So I just feel like Asu's going to go out there and give you an honest 15 minutes if it stays on the feet, but he's going to be the one trying to assert himself on offense. And that's what I like about him coming into this fight. So give me Asu as the pick.
Yeah. I was trying to get to a Perez side. This is usually a spot where I like Perez, but knee injuries at such a low weight class where you need your movement, you need your speed, you need to be dynamic, doesn't cut it. Not going to happen. I mean, like you said, Taira, he crushed his knee with that. It was just, like you said, you broke it down perfectly. I got nothing else to say. I was on Asu last fight against Ochoa. I'm probably going to be on Asu here again, minus 200. I don't know if I'm going to play the spread or minus 200 yet. Haven't decided, but I think Asu's in a fine spot here. I also think Asu's striking has improved fight over fight, which people aren't giving him credit for. It has improved time after time, so I don't know. I think this is a fine side for Asu. We're talking about Taira was one of the meanest things I've ever seen. Yeah, this guy said it too. At 205, wouldn't be concerned. I mean, I'd be concerned at any weight class, but yes. Reconstruction at 33 is not great. 100% on the reason Perez got injured like that. What's happening, Glimbot? Thanks for joining us, bro. And then we got another guy betting Asu. I don't mind 2-3. Honestly, it could be a late finish, especially if Asu.
Actually, Glimbot?
Is that not Glimbot? Maybe no, it's not Glimbot. It's Glenn O'Shea. Actually, I just saw the gray G and just assumed. That's on me. All right. Next fight we have here is let's see. Next fight we have, where is this? It's Sergey Spivak versus the one and only Shamil Gaziev. Big Meal Shamil versus Sergey Spivak. Spivak.
It is Glimbot, so he changed his name on YouTube. So what's up, Glimbot? Happy you're here, buddy.
Yeah, okay, so it was him. I was right. But yeah, so Sergey Spivak, Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev is 14-1. Sergey Spivak 17-6. Odds in these two gentlemen, you can get Gaziev minus 140, Sergey Spivak's back to plus 120. It's always tough to try and figure out which version of Sergey Spivak are we getting, right? That's the common question in pretty much all his fights. What do you think, Drav? Are you with Big Meal or are you with Sergey Spivak?
Yeah, I'm just laughing because I'm watching that Shamil picture, and the only thing I can think about is I've listened to Uncle Weezy breakdown this week about this fight, and he said something like, if people ask me for a picture and I don't want to take the picture with them, the thing I'll do is I'm gonna put myself in that position to go take the picture like Shamil Gaziev, and he made me laugh so hard. Then I see his face and I just think about him. That was a funny one. Uncle Weezy is a funny dude. But yeah, I mean, it is a tough fight to call, to your point. It's not easy to have a strong read on it, but I do have a strong take on it personally. And like you said, I mean, what version of Spivak are we going to get? We don't really know. but we can't assume it's going to be good or bad, honestly. Just going to go with the fact that he's only 30 years old at heavyweight, that he has a ton of fights in the UFC, that he has a ton of experience, and just going to hope for the best when you cap him, unless he's fighting an elite guy. Because if you lose to Tsarukyan, Tom Aspinall, Jailton Almeida, am I going to hold that against you? I mean, I can't really do that personally. And his wins, some of his wins are good. So there's a thing with him. So when he wins, most of the times he look very good. But also when he lose, he look pretty bad. But when he lose, it's against very good competition. And I'm gonna touch about the Jailton Almeida fight first of all for Spivak. I was kind of impressed with the grappling in that fight because he won a lot of minutes on top of Jailton Almeida, and he was also able to get back up from Jailton Almeida when Jailton Almeida was on top of him, and he landed some good ground and pound, right? And then, yes, when he got back up, he got hurt on the feet, and then he got taken down, and he got finished. It was not a great look. But I think the grappling in that fight, before he got hurt, he's shown some good things, right? And offensively, he's a pretty damn good grappler for the heavyweight division. You know, he has that judo, that in the clinch, he's pretty good. He's pretty strong. So in this fight, I'm pretty confident to say he's the better grappler of the two, because I've seen this dude Spivak dominate guys from top position with the ground and pound, with the submissions, with the takedowns at the UFC levels for years. And with Gaziev, if you go back, there's some tapes on him when he's off his back. He doesn't look good. I don't think his BJJ is good, honestly. Like if you go and watch the fight against Kornilov, he won via wrestling for the most part in that fight. There was some spot where that guy had a Kimura on him, and he was kind of lost trying to defend the submission. I didn't like to see that, and it was a close fight, right? And the Martin Budai fight, yeah, I was there backing him there. He looked good, but Martin didn't show up at all. I don't know what was that, but Gaziev looked good in that fight. And then the Greg Velasco fight, right, on Dana White Contender Series, that guy at heavyweight was a complete midget, was a bum. So Gaziev dropped him right away. He goes on the mat, and somehow, somewhere, that guy is now on his back. He's trying to choke him, but he's too fucking big, and he's too fat and small to lock in the body lock. So he's not able to do it. But Gaziev didn't look good, man, in those positions. He really did not. And yeah, reverse, and he got to finish after. But that guy is a bum. So I didn't like what I saw in the grappling. And then yeah, he won the grappling against Dante Almeida, who was a fish off his back, was really bad on the ground. We've seen that multiple times now. And the Rosenstruck fight, he got exposed in the striking. He gassed out. I think his cardio is not good because he slowed down as the fight goes. And then against Peterson, yeah, I think he got taken down in that fight. He got back up, and yeah, he got a good knockout. That was impressive. But we've now seen Peterson. He's not really it, right? He's 2-3 in the UFC level, and he's been knocked out twice. So I don't think he's all that impressive. And yeah, Spivak, like I said, the thing with him, he can be KO'd. Sometimes he's gonna find the door. But also, he can make you take the door if you don't like how it's going. So there's a very binary fight, because I think Gaziev's striking is a bit better and he has more power and he's a bit more durable. But they both slow down. I personally trust Spivak a bit more as the fight goes. And I trust Spivak more on the ground. And I think Spivak's going to push the fight to go to the ground. And also, I was impressed with Spivak last fight, okay? I've bet Waldo at plus money against him. And on rewatch, I think Spivak won. So they gave round 2 to Waldo, and they gave round 3 to Spivak, I think it is. And they gave round 1 to Waldo, which was the difference maker. I don't agree with that. I think round 1 was close, but it was a Spivak round still. And yeah, I got lucky, I think, because I think he should have won. And you know what's even funny? He took him down like one or two times, but he didn't control him whatsoever. He won that fight via striking. He hurt Waldo a bit. He landed some big shots on Waldo, and he took some big shots from Waldo as well. So I think, like, durability-wise and striking-wise, it was a plus for him, even though he lost on paper in that fight. So, yeah, I think his striking is improving. He's also 5 years younger. Gaziev is 35. He's gassy, and I don't think he's good on bottom. And I think Spivak's going to put him there and probably finish him or ride him. So, yeah, maybe Gaziev just knocks him out early and I look dumb, but I think Spivak as an underdog with, what we know, the fact that he's more experience in the UFC, that he's fought better guys, that he's a better grappler, that he's the younger guy. And I think on the feet, I think it's close. But yeah, I trust Gaziev more because of power and durability. But he didn't quit Spivak against Waldo, and he got hit with some big shots. And I think Waldo is a better striker than Gaziev. So yeah, it's a good fight. Honestly, I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to play out. But I think Spivak's going to get it done. I think he should be a slight favorite. So I like him a decent amount as an underdog. I play him at plus 140. Now he's I'm not gonna post free bet of the week this week on Twitter, so I'm just gonna give it out right there. But I play him at plus 140. It's a big position for me this week. I like him. I cap him around minus 125. I think he should be a slight favorite because of all I said. Both guys can dominate, but if I think one guy can dominate via grappling at heavyweight and he's an underdog, I'm gonna go try to bet that in, especially if he's younger and he has better competition.
Yeah, Liam, what do you think?
Yeah, I suppose I lean towards violence here, just in general. And then I guess if you press me for a side, I guess I would say Spivak. But, the thing I don't like about Spivak is that I feel like sometimes he just gives me like wilty energy. Like if his game's not going his way, he's kind of just like, I'm not really liking this. Like his reactions to getting hit, things like that. That's what I don't like. So, when I break down a fight like this, I'm thinking like Gaziev knockout's definitely live just because of who Spivak is. Like I think Gaziev's a more athletic guy, like just in general, right? Like the way he kind of moves. He was a Dagestani national volleyball team member. That sounds kind of silly, but they take all their sports seriously. And he was recruited by Abdulmanap. Like they wanted this guy involved because he's a good athlete. That being said, the Jairzinho Rosenstruik fight is like hilarious, right? Like the guy sprints headfirst into the cage. Like, Gaziev is not a perfect product, right? And on the other side, some of Spivak's best wins have been like, pretty ugly. Like Derek Lewis, like needs to go to the hospital the night before the fight type of thing. Like, but the Tai Tuivasa one back in the day, like that's one, excuse me, to drop his point where, thank you. He actually dominated the entirety of that fight. Like he literally just beat the shit out of Tai Tuivasa from the beginning to the end. Like took him down, rinse and repeat, mauled him in every position. So Sergey Spivak, can be a hammer when he gets his game going. People are talking about he's moving camps and things like that. Personally, I have to investigate all that. I haven't looked at his Instagram and those kind of things. I'd have to do my own research.
He's at freestyle MMA with Ian Kutulaba now. So not the best look.
Okay, fair enough. So that is at least some cause for concern, right? And then when I'm thinking about like, the potential downside risk again, it would be something like, Gaziev's a Bahrain guy, KHK guy, and certainly in the part of the world that we're in, always just want to pay attention to all angles, right? And if people in the chat are also talking about my man Spivak, slinging the private lessons in Vegas, and then they got him flying halfway across the world. Those are the only, red flags I see. But you're giving the plus money. I'll just go back really quick to my notes that I had when Gaziev was going to fight Greg Velasco, because I heard you talking about that fight, and you said Greg Velasco's a bum. Got to stand up for my Northeast guy at least this much and say that in that fight, these were my notes before the fight. I said, Velasco, solid BJJ, but ends up on bottom frequently in bad positions. Look at the ends by sub, plus 340, Gaziev sub, plus 470. And when you look at, how Spivak sometimes gets to good positions and then, falls over the top, I would, again, be interested in, an ends by sub and the violence type of angles. That's why I was saying violence from the outset is, if either one of these guys gets on top, I think the ground and pound could start flowing. Like Spivak is not a discriminator, right? He will go to the ground and pound. He will go back to the submission attempts. So I feel like that's a, potential opening for him. And for the Gaziev side, if he connects with the chin, I feel like that's his path to getting him out of there. Walt Harris, a very long time ago was able to touch Sergey Spivak and get him out of there. So it's been a wide range of guys that have been able to do so. But certainly, he's gone up in competition. Gaziev kind of needs to prove it, right? His one step up was against Rosenstruik, who got let go from the organization. It's kind of funny, right? Rosenstruik has been, a guy that's won a bunch of fights. He's gotten let go. Fucking, what's his name? Budai. The only loss he had was to fucking Gaziev, and then they let his ass go anyway. So one of these guys where, Gaziev has survived the test of time, but He's a suspect grappler in my view, despite the fact he beat Velasco there. Like, he makes his own bad decisions on the ground. So
definitely. Yeah, I'm on Spivak as well. I got him plus 125, but I also like the under plus 120 as well. Gives you equity on both guys, right? Gives you the sub and ground and pound from the Spivak side. It also gives you Shamil Gaziev round one upside if, Cerq decides to take the door. So you kind of play one. What I did was I played Spivak smaller and then played the under bigger. Kind of give you like a decent way to play it. Hopefully, you don't get a Spivak decision. You double lose. That'll always be fun. But or a Gaziev over, but I don't really see it happening just because of the discrepancies on the feet and on the ground. So should be violence. These guys are heavyweights. How do you think because Gaziev has been taken down by semi-athletic heavyweights, and I thought that the clinch of Spivak is going to struggle with the size of Gaziev. Judo throws. We haven't seen the judo throw takedowns from Spivak against Gaziev. That's my answer to that question. Camp, always concerning. Yeah, you got to concern with what we got. What guy we're going to get here. Next fight we have is Hermansson versus Miktabek Orolbai. 14-2-1, 24-9. Hermansson's coming down to 170 for the first time. Orolbai is up at 170 because I think he just missed weight last fight, right? Or was that 2 fights ago that he missed weight? Orolbai is minus 240, Hermansson plus 205. I mean, Hermansson's like 37 years old, going down in weight to 170. I think this is a horrible idea for him. I kind of think Orolbai rolls. Liam, what are you thinking here?
I think this is a weird ass fight. I tweeted the other day, this is a hard fight to wrap my head around. Then I watched a bunch of tape on Hermansson, and I came away with this conclusion. And I've said this about a few fights, but I truly feel this way. Like, Orolbai KO is like very live here just because Jack, 37, cutting down in weight, been finished in, I think, 6 of 9 professional losses. Like, there's definitely some reasons to be skeptical here, especially with a guy of this size cutting down to 170. Now, with that being said, I went back and watched the film, and he was kind of beating the shit out of RoboCop. Like, I know people will say I'm crazy, but like, if you go back and watch, RoboCop's face was like cut in like 5 different places. He was bleeding, he's swelling, and he just landed a kill shot and put Jack down bad, right? But like, Jack was doing good work off the back foot in that fight. He's kind of moving backwards, throwing some shots, touching, moving, and he looked, sound on the back foot, but he did look scared of getting hit. If you go back and watch the Piper fight, he got hurt in round 1. He was kind of getting touched a little bit in that fight. It didn't look like he was having great reactions. But then you also see his work on offense. His counter boxing was sharp. He was landing big shots. He was kind of busting up Piper a little bit. He was landing big calf kicks that were really dissuading Piper from coming forward and putting on, front foot pressure. And the thing about Hermansson is he's a fucking pretty good wrestler, like he's a pretty good grappler. You go back and watch the Chimaev grappling or wrestling match, that he had with him. Chimaev in the very early going was kind of horsing him around, getting a hold of him, throwing him. And you're like, wow, Chimaev is fucking great. And then you watch later on and like it kind of stalemates and, Jack is starting to hold his own a bit and trying to throw. Chimaev doesn't get it, but he's at least pressuring. And that's a big guy who's now the middleweight champion of the world. Orolbai dominated Medic. I expected that. I bet him by submission there. Medic is not a good grappler, right? Like, although he's bigger, I was like, yeah, like if Medic keeps it on the feet, maybe. I was like, I don't think he's keeping it on the feet. Orolbai ran him over. But you look at like when somebody was able to keep it on the feet, Rebecca, when somebody's able to mix it up and get his own takedowns going, it's a lot harder for Orolbai. Like Orolbai is a good striker in the sense that he can hit hard, he's durable, and he believes in his offense. So he's going to keep throwing all night. But like, he's there to be touched back, right? Like if you want to go move back and throw, like you're going to be able to land on this guy because he's coming forward. And I do feel like, the downside risk with Jack is that he gets touched once in this fight and his brain shuts off and the fight's over, right? So that's scary. But on the other side, like I do think that the longer this fight goes, the more chance that Jack is doing well, like touching him, moving away, kind of frustrating him. We've seen him do it to Chris Curtis. We've seen him do it. He had a split decision with Sean Strickland, which I thought Sean, won the fight, but it's because Jack is blocking, throwing, moving off the back foot, kicking the calf. And it's just like, it's an awkward style to deal with. He makes good use of the cage, moves all in and out around. And I feel like Orolbai, is kind of predictable. Like, I really rate his skill set when he's the bigger guy because his grappling's so effective. But I'm just not confident he can take down Jack and hold him down. So if that's where I'm feeling, like, Jack's been taken down once since 2018, and it was Kelvin Gastelum. He submitted him about 30 seconds later. So, like, it's kind of hard to see, like, somebody dominating him in the wrestling that's way smaller than him also, So, yeah, like, it just seems to me like I wanted to say, like, Orolbai runs him over, and then I watched the tape, and I was like, fuck, it's probably going to be harder than I think if he doesn't just one-punch him. So, Orolbai KO, if you like that side, I think that's a very reasonable bet. And otherwise, I would probably just, look at the Jack money line or pass on the fight.
What do you think, Trav?
Yeah, honestly, I don't want to talk too much about this fight because I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, there's no way Jack Hermansson is gonna make 171 pounds. I don't see it. He's never made 170 in his entire career, and he has 37, 30. I don't know how many fights. He's 37 years old. He just got knocked out brutally in his last fight, one of the worst knockout of the year. And he's coming back after 5 months later, trying to drop down a weight class for the first time ever. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's going to go well if it happened, because he was not a small dude at 185. He was making 186, and the weight cut's not getting any easier when you're getting older. So I don't know what he's thinking. And he's been knocked out 4 times already. I know it was against harder puncher than Orolbai his, but if you add the weight cut, the age, the fact that he just got knocked out brutally, I don't think him fighting at this weight class is going to serve him well. So yeah, maybe like the grappling can be interesting, like Liam said, but I think Orolbai is going to connect hard, and I think he's going to put him out.
Yeah, I think Orolbai wins, rolls him pretty easy by KO. Catch weight at 180 and Orolbai weighs 174. That would be funny. And they put against a Troglide. Jackie,
you want to know something interesting, fellas?
Talk to me.
So it feels to me like one of these has to be off. And again, you guys can tell me if you disagree, right? But I'm looking right now on the services, right? And I'm seeing minus 230 is the best available on Orolbai moneyline. The under 2.5 rounds is plus 140.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. What's Orolbai by KO though? Because they probably give him, well, what is it? What's his KO line?
Interesting question. I do not have that answer, so let me check.
It's around plus 300.
Okay, so that means they're giving, for the under, they're giving the KO plus 300. I guess they're giving you some sub equity on Jack Hermansson on that under as well to bring it lower, and I guess maybe slight sub equity on Orolbai, which I doubt to see. So I don't know.
Jack Hermansson doctor's stoppage by swelling this guy's eyes shut. Like what happened? I mean, honestly, that fight probably could have or should have been stopped in a lot of commissions. For
Becky.
Yeah,
definitely. That was a war too. That was a crazy one. But yeah, moving on here. Volkan Ozdemir, no time versus Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo Menifield 17-5-1. Volkan Ozdemir is 20-8. Odds on these two gentlemen, you can get Volkan at the right price of minus 225. Alonzo Menifield plus 190. Drav, I'll have you go first here. I mean, Volkan Ozdemir, this is a spot where I think Volkan Ozdemir shines for me personally. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, probably, but he's not really a type of guy I'm looking to pay minus 2xx on most of the times. But yeah, I think he should win. He's the better striker. He has power. And yeah, he's the more well put together fighter, and he's been fighting the higher level of competition. But Menifield is strong, he's big, he hit hard, and I feel like over 15 minutes is probably gonna be competitive. But I think Ozdemir is more likely to knock him out, which is why he's a favorite, and he fought better competition. So yeah, I mean, he fought Olberg and he didn't get finished, and he made a decent account of himself, even though he lost. And Menifield just run face first into a left hook. That was crazy. So yeah, I mean, I think Ozdemir is gonna win, but I don't have a strong read on this one. Maybe you guys have a better read than me.
Yeah, I love Volkan in this spot, honestly. I think this is a spot, and it's kind of weird to say, like, I love Volkan in this spot. But, yeah. I mean, this is a guy in Alonzo Menifield that when he ate the first jab of Carlos Ulberg, he was kind of like, what the fuck is a jab, right? And now you have a guy in Volkan Ozdemir who has power, who throws good jabs. So we got, like, a tactician versus a guy who – like a technician versus a guy who's just strong, overbearing with big power. Volkan's more technical. I even think Volkan has grappling upside. I think Volkan could get takedowns here if he wants them. But I think he's going to strike on the feet, and I think he knocks Alonzo Menifield out. I think Alonzo Menifield's kind of been high rolling his value, and now he's running into a guy in Volkan who's been the elite gatekeeper at 205. So that's it for me. What do you think, Liam?
If you've ever lost to William Knight, I cannot pick you to beat No Time Volkan Ozdemir. That's the beginning and the end of my breakdown. I think Volkan is going to knock him out. Respect to both guys.
What is Volkan by KO? Tell me that. What is the line on that one?
I think I saw like plus 130.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's
under
plus
1.5 is plus 130.
It's plus 140 for the KO on Bet Online. But
under 2.5 is minus 145.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't know. That's tough. I think Volkan money line is fine for me too.
The Volkan Paul Craig fight just wasn't very ambitious violence. It was very reserved.
Yeah,
no man, it was.
Yeah, Volkan here and gets the finish. I think so too. I got no time to bet on Alonzo. No shot. This guy said over 2.5 in Volkan decision. That sounds good to me. Carlton
Glenbot who said that, Peg.
It's Glenbot who said that. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, his name.
Said this guy. Now you don't know him anymore.
Let me see. The sub would be tough for Jack, but plus 1,700 hard rack.
Yeah, it's a massive price. I mean, he's the bigger guy, and we've seen Orolbai in tough position before.
Yeah, Orolbai shoots a lot too, and like Jack has a money. Basically he sits to that Joker team, he calls it. It's basically like a head and arm choke variation from a seated position. It's effing brutal, and Jack's really good at it. So Orolbai's got to watch out for that.
All right, co-main event of the evening: Belal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Garry. 16-1. Belal Muhammad, his first fight since losing the belt. 24-4. Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. There's 60 of you guys in the chat. I should get 60 likes. Get a few comments in there later. Look at this fight. Ian Garry is minus 250. Belal Muhammad plus 210. I kind of think Ian Garry kind of stunts on Belal here. I think, losing the belt, you kind of saw the top of the mountain, and now you got a guy in Garry who's pretty good at defending takedowns, can strike on the feet, pretty good striker. We saw we did the Prates to Dravis' point earlier. I mean, they're hanging Belal plus 200 in front of you for a reason. They want you to bet it because it's like, oh, how can I miss this? Like it's you're getting the past champ and a guy in the Garry. Like it's got to make sense. I don't think it does at all. Gary's got good takedown defense. Gary's jiu-jitsu has looked better lately. He's training with the jukebox guys, and the striking and footwork is kind of crazy on the Garry side too. So I kind of think he stunts on Belal here. Do I see a finish? No, definitely not. But I definitely think Ian Garry wins. And I think minus 225 is fine. I parlayed him with the someone in the main event. What are you thinking, Drav?
Yeah, people love to shit on both of these guys. It's kind of funny. Now they're matching up against each other. Both of them are winner, and they're a smart fighter at the end of the day. And I think Belal, one of his best attributes is the fact that he has good fight IQ. In his last fight, it did not look that way, but he's an intelligent fighter and he has good game plan. And I mean, the problem I have here is the same thing can be said for Ian Garry. He's very intelligent, very smart in the cage. And so that's one thing. And then if I break down this fight, I feel like Belal can have success in close range with the boxing. But in the striking at distance with the kicks, I think Ian is much, much better. And his distance management also is way better than a guy like Leon Edwards who struggle against Belal to maintain the distance. So I think Garry at distance I think he can catch him with a head kick, honestly. And I think if anyone finish, I think that's going to be him. I think he's more likely to win by KO. I think he's more likely to win by submission. And I also think he's more likely to win via decision. if Belal win, I don't think it's impossible, but it got to be like a close decision with restings and top time. Maybe Garry play off his back a bit too much or something. But Garry has better takedown defense than Leon. He has better distance management than Leon, and he's tougher mentally than Leon Edwards. So, and Belal beat him. Belal looked good in that fight, but remember later in the fight, he had some bad moments where he almost got finished, and Leon won 2 rounds in that fight. So people are talking about like it's one of the best performance of all time. He looked great, don't get me wrong, but he still lost 2 rounds and almost got finished at the end. And how many times do we see a fighter got the belt, got the big momentum, everything, right? And then they lose the belt and they come back after. More often than not, they don't perform well. And he's also 37 now. There's a 10 years gap here. He's 10 years older. He has no finishing upside. He just lost his title. And they're giving him Ian Garry, was an elite fighter who only lost to Yakhaev in the UFC. So I think Ian Garry is going to make a statement here and style on Belal Muhammad this weekend. And I'm not going to predict him to finish him, but I think he's going to wobble him at some point with a head kick.
What do you think, Liam?
First of all, I always like to acknowledge when my picks are about to be biased as shit, but you're talking to an Irish-American original here. And listen, I always try and call it the way I see it. When Dean Barry came to the UFC, I called him a bot, right? He was Irish, but me and my guy Ozzy talked about that guy was a robot, right? When you look at Ian Garry, he's a good fighter. And a lot of people just don't want to give the guy his credit. You know, like no matter what you think about him personally, you can hate the guy, you know, but people love to hate a winner. And you look at Ian Garry, a lot of what he does in the octagon is win, win, win. And when he doesn't, he still comes close, right? The Shavkat-Rakhmonov fight made a very solid account of himself there. And, you know, again, who came closer to finishing that fight, right? The big, scary boogeyman with the crazy record to the ITD or, you know, Ian Garry. Ian Garry had his back. He nearly had it, right? If the guy learned how to finish an effing rear naked choke, he would have fucking unlimited finishes in the UFC, right? Like the guy gets a rear naked choke grip on every opponent and just doesn't finish it because he likes to just go out there and ruin my submission props. But I think when you look at, you know, the Leon Edwards fight, how about the fact that Leon Edwards was able to bank an entire round on the back of Belal Muhammad? Like,
yeah,
you know who's really good at taking the back opportunistically in the UFC? Ian Garry. And that could be the round of the fight right there. You know, so looking at the fight for me, like, again, do I respect Belal? 100%. Do I think Belal's a good fighter? Yes. Is Belal a really proven underdog? All true. The thing that I don't like is on the other side, you know, you talked about him getting older, and that's absolutely true. You know, the miles, like the wear and tear, all that's true. How about the huge health incident, guys? Like, there's a reason Belal Muhammad was like sidelined when he was the champion, right? The guy literally was having like a really serious health problem where they have to put like a pick line in and all this fucking shit, couldn't train. Like, that's really debilitating, right? And it's hard to come back from something like that. Then you look at the fight that he had with Jack. You know, a lot of people want to say it was a bad game plan. It was stupid thinking and all this stuff. It's like, maybe it was a guy who was not able to do some of the same things physically. And, you know, you certainly know your limitations better than anybody else when you're doing the training camp. And I feel like Belal went out there and looked a little bit lesser than he used to, you know, like what was so impressive was that he was always pushing forward, always having the pace, always having to go. And in that fight with Jack, like there was a couple times he was getting hit and staggering and, you know, it was starting to test that durability, which he's known for, right? In that Leon fight, you talked about it again, Dravi, at the end, round 5, like he got reversed from the back guys multiple times. So like you see Leon Edwards take his back, it's the entire round. You see Belal take his back, he gets reversed to end the round multiple times in a row. And it's just like, it's similar problems recurring. And so for all those reasons, like, I just think that Belal, he's a guy that maximized his window. He found a title opportunity. He won a ton of fights in a row when he needed to, and he capitalized. And I just feel like he did it at the right time. And I feel like his drop-off is probably going to be precipitous given his age and given also the fact that, you know, he did have a bunch of serious health, you know, impacts from it. So for all those reasons, give me Ian Garry. And if he gets his first submission this weekend, I'll probably have to be there on the sub prop because I've always been believing in it. And I saw the back take and instantly in my head, I was like, Charles, teach him how to finish the choke. Charles, teach him how to finish the choke. So Lord willing, shoot box, got it prepared to actually finish the choke this time.
Fighting Irish. I have an investment. Ian is one of them. I saw a comment I liked up here before. Garry had a lock-in for a McGregor fight when he was 18-19. We're talking more about this RoboCop sub that never came. Look at the RoboCop.
Is Ian Garry sub going to be the next RoboCop sub where it just goes down in price every UFC fight and never hits?
He's putting a bag on Jack over Islam this week. Let's see. No bot slander here. All right. Champs gave it out. I don't know if I posted in the Discord yet. This is going to be spread of the week this week. It's actually plus 120 on BetOnline. It's plus 100 on FanDuel DraftKings.
Surprising.
DraftKings, sorry. And I mean, for all the reasons you guys said and I said earlier, I do think Ian Garry, does he get a finish? No. Does he win a dominant decision? Yes, I think he does. And because everything he said, the footwork, the takedown defense, things like that, the back take, I mean, he almost had a choke. He almost had a front choke, and then he had a rear naked choke on Shavkat. So you're telling me he can't do that against Belal? 100% he can. And then, head kick upside, like you said, always there too. The way he flashes that head kick up, it's one of the best we've seen. So, Pegasus, do you have Shuval on this card? I don't even want to answer that question. Me and Glenn look alike.
No, they think alike, he said.
I don't see. Oh, they think alike. I don't see Jerry being that way.
No, he's saying you don't see him getting a submission. I think he was answering to Liam.
Oh, shove all these nuts in your mouth. Great. That's great. Walked right into that one.
First time for everything.
Yep. Armen Tsarukyan, Dan Hooker, main event of the evening. Armen Tsarukyan minus 500, Dan Hooker plus 375. I mean, I think Armen destroys Dan Hooker here. No reason it can't look like the Islam fight with Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is taking one fight a year, not showing up. He's got some backyard knuckle fighting business going on right now. His arm's constantly broken and hurt. He's had to pull out of fights because of that. Who knows what he looks like now? Armen's training with the Olympic Russian team up in Russia with the wrestling team. He's also doing a bunch of grappling competitions. Something tells me he's going to have a more threatening grappling game here. And I also think he's live. We just saw Dan Hooker knocked out by Gamrot or hurt by Gamrot. So there's no reason Armen can't hurt him here either. I think Armen covers his price tag very easily. Decision, knockout, sub, whatever you want, he can do it. So pretty straightforward for me. What do you think, Liam?
I will say, I think Armen's going to win. He'll be my pick to win, right? But I've noted in the past that a guy like Dan Hooker is somebody I like to bet at big underdog odds because he's the kind of guy who's always in a fight, does not care. He's willing to go out there and fight hard for your dollar. We've seen him nearly knocked out, come back, win the fight before. So he's just a guy that lives in adversity. The problem is his grappling is the thing that always has been his major undoing. And against a guy like Armen, I feel like that's going to be his major undoing, right? He's coming off of a serious hand injury, hasn't fought since the Gamrot fight. I will say he exposed Scamrat, right? All due respect, but he exposed him for all those cheap decisions, getting by my guy RDA when he got rocked in that fight. My guy Dan Hooker with the front headlocks, with those chokes, was able to scare him off the takedowns. And that's the only real upside you can give to Hooker again coming into this fight. It's does he have some tools to threaten wrestlers when they come in, gung-ho, trying to grab a hold of him? Absolutely, right? Have we seen guys that are lesser fighters, that are smaller, like Neto BJJ, hurt Armen bad? Yeah. So, is there some ability for him to win? Sure. It's just not high percentage. So, for me, I feel like Armen, a little bit of a better fighter here in terms of his stand-up, and then a lot better on the ground. So for me, that's the difference maker. Size for Hooker, he's got a couple things. I just don't think it's enough here. So it's a big price, right? It's a big money line, especially in a main event. I just think Armen gets it done. The one thing I will note before I kick it to Drav here is the under, I think was under 3.5 minus 140. And that did kind of catch my eye just because the way Armen fights, he's normally coming out, asserting his will, putting guys on the bottom position, trying to bust them up. And Dan Hooker on the other side, he's a pretty violent dude. But when it goes sideways for him, it can go really sideways, right? Think of the Michael Chandler fight where the guy got touched one time and, he got scrambled. So I do think, like, if you're getting hurt all the time, if you're getting touched, if you're getting taken down and tapped pretty quick by Islam, again, like, Islam's very good, but the way it happened, the speed in which it happened, the domination, I do think that Armen might be able to steamroll him if he gets to the top position early and often.
Drop, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, the only thing I had is Dan Hooker's coming back after a bad hand surgery. Remember, like, he pulled out of the Gagey fight because of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also on a layoff. He's getting older, and he's a guy that have injuries in the past a lot. And yeah, I mean, I don't need to break that fight down, honestly. I think Armen's going to smash him. I don't think the fight's going to be competitive. I think Hooker can win, but he needs like a knee up the middle or big head kick or something. And then again, I don't see that happening. I think Armen is elite, and he should be next for Topuria after a big performance this weekend.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, guys. I have a parlay in. Unfortunately, so does the rest of the world, of Armen and Garry. I swear I put it in first. Drop can quote me on it. I put it in on Sunday morning early, and then it's been.
That's a lie.
Come on, give me a break. It's been there. I was the first one to put it in, but who knows what's going to happen? Everyone knows what happens when that happens. But I don't know. I love it. I don't see where both guys lose here. Pin hook, a good of a winner. Yeah. Champ's in the Discord. He saw that too. Dr. Stoppage is a pretty rare call. I have okay, he's talking about rubbing one out. Armen's statement here to get the Topuria fight, same way Morales did with Gady. Arnold Allen fight is a super red flag for Hooker too. Tend to agree. Armen via Grecan oil check. Dan takes way too much damage on the ground and pound in a way will be too much. Dr. Stoppage.
Those ground and pound are vicious. Even Charles Oliveira, man, he was getting fucking hammered with those elbows.
Yeah, it could look like
one of my favorite bets ever was Arman Tsarukyan. I think it was minus 225 against Joel Alvarez. ITD plus 175. Everybody was like, "Bro, you're crazy," and he fucking smashed that guy 2 bits. And
that win is aging pretty damn well.
These guys want to.
Also, it's another big, long man with better jiu-jitsu, by the way.
Yeah, good point.
All right. These guys want a lotto parlay. Do we all want to pick a prop that we like? Anyone want to get involved?
I mean, I'll say, I don't know which way the line's going to move, so I almost hesitate, but I'm going to be looking at the Shem money line in all likelihood.
Okay, so Shemrock money line for Liam. Drive, what are you thinking? You're going for a long shot here.
Like a prop or a money line, you mean?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
I want to take fucking Orolbai KO, but that fight's gonna get canceled.
All right. Well, okay. So Orolbai KO. We got Shem money line, and then, I mean, do I be brave and
take it? The worst they could do is pay you back, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think too.
Dude, I mean, again, like that under, like that's kind of calling my name too. Like even if you think Jack is live, like, like the bodies could hit the floor, like.
I'll take Garry by submission plus 1,100. So there you go. That's got to be plus who knows how high. But
yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I got it on Rivers right now.
And what does it look like, that parlay?
It's a massive one.
Okay, so we got Garry by sub, Orolbai by KO, and Shem money line.
Yeah, so Shem money line is plus 250. Garry submission is 12-1. And Orolbai KO is 3-1, so the parlay is 1,800 plus 1,800.
180 to 1. Okay. All right, guys. Armen sub 1-2. I mean, I like the under as well. Armen ITD. I didn't look into it yet. I said that was gonna be one of my favorite bets of the week.
$25 to win 4.5K. Not too bad if we hit that.
No, not bad at all. I'm seeing Armen Dan Hooker minus 110 for under 4.5.
No, it's a fake line.
That's a bad line. It says on Bet Online.
Yeah, no, I think they might have opened it that way, but under 4.5 is minus 195 on Rivers right now. I have in my face.
That makes sense. What is Armen into this? Minus 170. Jesus.
Yeah, at this point, they make you pick between the KO and the sub, and I know the sub is live, but I mean, he's not a submission guy all that much, and the price is so low. I couldn't play that.
Yeah. But all right, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. We do it every week for free. Liam, thanks for joining us. Where can these guys find you, and when are you doing your show this week?
Stay tuned for that. I will have an announcement probably Thursday, but I got to touch base with my my intrepid co-host and find out exactly what's going to make the most sense. But you can find me everywhere at LiamPicksFights. And I appreciate the support. It's always a pleasure breaking down these fights with you guys. I am scrambling to learn some of these UFC newcomers this week, but we're going to make sure we have our due diligence done so the article is fresh to death. And Lord willing, we can have another good week to help close out the year strong. So shout out to our guy, Dan Levy, and Half the Battle. Shout out to everybody in the chat, and shout out to the great guys who are hosting this show. I've said for a long time, giving out great information week over week. I always tune in as a listener, so I'm glad to be on the show this week, helping produce the content, and I hope everybody enjoyed.
Appreciate it, Liam. Guys, thanks again. And we will see you guys not next week. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, everything like that with your families. We will see you in 2 weeks for UFC 323.
The big card.
Big card. All right, guys. Enjoy. Peace.